Detroit is directed by Kathryn Bigelow, written by Mark Boal, and it stars John Boyega, Will Poulter, and Algee Smith, and this tells a story of some events that occurred during the 1960s Detroit riots. Tumultuous times in American history that made people do crazy, hateful, stupid things, and the meat of the story here is happening on the Algee's motel, where a few policemen gathered, a few people of color, and two white girls, and then they proceeded to prove how police brutality is actually a term that exists. Kathryn Bigelow with this finishes her kind of real-life events trilogy. Maybe she'll do another, I don't know. But with this, she probably has her most brutal one. This film is shot in one of the most authentically realistic documentary styles of filming that I've seen for a fictional narrative, let's say. Yes, it is based on true events, but even the movie says in the end that some events are not clear for the public due to some statements not existing, and therefore they had to dramatize a few sequences. I don't know which sequences these are, but this movie throughout is shot very realistically so. It's a very realistic and brutal and visceral documentary looking film. Kathryn Bigelow uses a lot of handheld cameras. Kathryn Bigelow uses a lot of crash zooms. She stills the camera on some characters, she closes up on them, she backs away from them, but always with this handheld camera style. And that really gives a lot of atmosphere and tension to the movie. You really feel like you're in there and you're suffering these moments of tension where you don't know what is going to happen next. You don't know how people are going to react, because this movie also has a message about how hate fuels even more hate. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to vengeance, vengeance leads to the dark side. And people just generated hate throughout these times. And rightfully so. You can see why and how the people of Detroit reacted the way they reacted to what was being done to them. The injustice that they were being put through, and that really elevated their anger and made them react in a very bad way, which only escalated tension throughout the city and in the people and in the police force. And this movie has a very good sense of the escalation of tension. John Boyega is excellent in this movie. He is very subdued because he plays a security guard, and in many moments he has to talk and relate to people from the National Guard or from the State Police of Michigan or from the Detroit PD. And these officers are for the most part white, so you have John Boyega trying to put on some levity in the way he talks and in the way he looks at things that are happening in front of him, and he wants to do something, he wants to fix things, he wants to not allow this shit to go through, and you can see that I'm going to do this shit, but I'm probably going to die, but I'm still going to do this. He is super afraid throughout this whole film, and you see that in his eyes, you see that in his hesitation, and he put that through in his performance, which was excellent. And just as excellent is Will Poulter. This guy is a putrid scumbag motherfucker. I wanted to strangle this guy with my bare hands. The stuff he does in this film to other people, to the people of color in the Algee's motel, and even to the white girls that he has put up against the wall throughout the meat of this film, is absolutely disgusting and detestable. Really makes you hate this guy. This guy is probably the best villain of 2017 if you think about it. And the meat of the movie is really the events on the Algee's motel. You have a good build-up of characters and putting them in the situations that were happening around the city. Then the Algee's motel happens for about 80 minutes probably of the movie, because that really is the meat of the movie, and Kathryn Bigelow handles all these events in the different divisions of the motel even very well. You get to know characters that were trapped inside the motel besides the character that you got to know before. It's very impressively well done. But then, without spoiling, comes the end of this movie, and this movie kind of feels like Lord of the Rings, where Lord of the Rings felt like it had a lot of endings. But Lord of the Rings, it's the end of a trilogy, and it earned it. In this movie, it's like having a balloon filled with air, alright? You have the Algee's motel where the tension keeps going and going and going, and so it's filling this balloon, and then after that it starts deflating. And it deflates very slowly. It feels like the movie's trying to excruciatingly detail every ending to every possible aspect of what we just saw, and I really didn't feel like the movie needed that. There are a couple of moments I could tell you right now, but I would be spoiling you, so I will not tell you what those moments are. And in those moments, I feel like the movie could have ended, and that way you would have those typical pictures of the real people that went through these real events with a little title saying what truly happened to them. Because after going through so much tension and so good build of tension, after being in this unnerving and white-knuckle sequence that is the meat of the movie, I felt like the movie just deflated, and it took a long time to deflate. It has great direction and excellent performances, phenomenal atmosphere, accompanied by a very good sense of tension and realism, and this movie will make you uncomfortable as you are watching this, as a movie like this should. These things are not easy to watch, and Kathryn Bigelow does justice to that. Detroit is visceral, and it is brutal, and it will stick with you because these things unfortunately really happen. It is, although, one of those great movies that I do not feel the need to watch ever again, but still Detroit is undoubtedly a collector's item. What did you think of Detroit, my beautiful geekies? Did you enjoy it? Did you not? What is the last movie you remember making you uncomfortable as you were watching it? Let me know in the comments below, and tomorrow I'll have my review for Kingsman: The Golden Circle. Can't wait to talk to you guys about that. Thank you so much for watching. You guys are the freaking best. And so until tomorrow with The Golden Circle, you stay beautiful, you stay geeky, and if you haven't done so yet, click the subscribe button and the bell so we can be geeky united!